Liz, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we please have roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Liz present. Councilmember Scott Funk, excused absence. Councilmember Lorraine Worthy,
Present.
Councilmember Maria Orozco,
Present.
and Mayor Jose Rios.
Present. All righty, moving on to the agenda, we have three presentations this evening, and our first one is Salinas Valley Health.
This evening, we have Dr. Radner and his team here, and they'll go ahead and share the presentation they have for us tonight.
Great.
So I want to thank the council for inviting us to give a quick update about what's going on at Salinas Valley Health. So I have a short presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about just some updates about our hospital and our healthcare system. I'm going to talk about some of the real challenges we're facing. We're just getting a lot of questions about what's going on from an economic standpoint and access. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. And then just again, a little more update about how we're responding to that, things we're trying to do still within the community. So if I could go to the next slide, please. So just to remind everyone, we are a governmental entity. Salinas Valley Health is what's called a district entity. We have a publicly elected board. We have a geographic district that includes Gonzales. And unlike some entities, we are absolutely dedicated to taking care of everybody in our community, regardless of insurance, regardless of immigration status, anything. We are committed to taking care of everyone in our community. Can I have the next slide, please? When I started working in the community about 30 years ago, it was Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital. I was just working at the hospital, but we've, grown dramatically. We're now a hospital. We have what are called hospital-based outpatient departments. We've got a huge clinic system, which I'll talk about. And we actually have joint ventures. So we're invested in things, mainly things in the community, healthcare entities in the community that are lower cost alternatives, like ambulatory surgery centers and places you can go to get care that aren't as nearly as expensive as the hospital. And just to give you a rough idea, as it says here, we're going to have probably 700,000 patient encounters in our clinic system this year. I mean, it's a huge clinic system now. Next slide, please. So what I was doing before I became the CEO is I was the chief medical officer and the chief executive officer of our clinics. So when I started, we had 3 doctors, and now we have over 200 providers. As I've already mentioned, we're going to have roughly 700,000 patient encounters. We're doing the overwhelming majority of primary care, other than what's being done in the federally qualified healthcare systems like Clinica de Salud and the Monterey County Health Department. And we provide almost all the specialty care throughout the Salinas Valley Basin. We do all the oncology care, dermatology, infectious diseases. You can see all of the clinics and all of the services we provide. And as we keep saying, our motto is that we're payer blind. We see anybody in our clinics regardless of their ability to pay or what their insurance is. Next slide, please. One of what we consider part of our clinic system, although it's a slightly different designation that we're incredibly proud of, is obviously the Taylor Farms Family Health and Wellness Center or clinic. And I came here and spoke right when I was the interim about a year and a half ago. And if anyone remembers when, but there was a little bit of these, a couple of council members pointed out it's hard to get in, and we understood that. We have gone out of our way to grow the clinic. We have 9 providers now. It's actually one of the clinics you can get in, one of the easier clinics to get in. We have extended hours, and I'm going to say more about it, but we're about to celebrate our 10th anniversary. So we are extraordinarily proud of the clinic, not only for primary care, but we bring up an orthopedist, we have a gastroenterologist, we have a cardiologist, not every day, but we try to bring all the specialty services into our clinic as well. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit of a complicated slide that I'll just mention. So I've already mentioned talking about how we all get paid in what we call payers. And there's really 4 categories that healthcare providers get reimbursed from. I think everybody knows Medicare, Medi-Cal, people with commercial insurance, and people with no insurance. And it surprises people to know, especially out of our area, that the overwhelming biggest group there is Medi-Cal. There's a managed Medi-Cal group called CCH that has 195,000 people. So 195,000 people of the 430,000 people in our community, about 45% of the entire county has Medi-Cal. And on the Salinas side, we think it's probably closer to 60%. So when you hear about all the challenges that are coming down right now from a federal level with respect to Medi-Cal, it is going to dramatically affect this county. Smaller number of people with Medicare. There are people with commercial insurance, and historically, it was about 5% of the population had no insurance. The right side of this slide is the things that we're grappling with now. I think everybody knows coming out of the one big beautiful bill that I'll refer to as HR 1, there were enormous cuts to Medicaid and Medi-Cal in California. And it's a very complicated process. We get paid both for patients we see, and because Medi-Cal does not pay for the cost of providing care, there is these supplemental funds that you can draw down. For instance, we draw down about $20 million a year through these supplemental funds. I can tell you it costs us to provide care at the hospital for people with Medi-Cal are the difference between what we get paid and what it costs us to provide that care. We lose about $90 million a year. So the 20 million helps, but we still lose a lot of money taking care of people with Medi-Cal at the hospital side. The other thing that's worth pointing out is in California, unlike many states, historically, you haven't had to prove your immigration status to qualify for Medi-Cal. If you qualified based on your economics, you could get Medi-Cal. And of that 195,000 in Monterey County, 45,000 people have what they call an unfavorable immigration status, or UIS. And we could talk about all the challenges that are going forward. But what's come out of the big, beautiful bill is huge cuts in that supplemental funding that I talked about, and they are going to make it a lot harder to get Medi-Cal. So people are going to have to re-enroll twice a year. The term is redetermination. They know people are going to fall off the rolls. They're going to have work requirements. There's still things being worked out in California with respect to the immigration status. But I can tell you of the 195,000 people that have Medi-Cal, I'm on the board for Central Coast Alliance for Health, which is the big Medi-Cal group. And they're anticipating 25% of people in the next 3 years are going to lose insurance entirely. So these are huge cuts. There's some other cuts that gets kind of complicated that aren't directly related to that, but a number of hospitals like Natividad Medical Center gets another kind of supplemental funding called DISH money, which is a disproportionate share that comes to hospitals. That right now is being cut as well. For Natividad, that was in the paper this week, or last week, I'm sorry. They're going to lose $14 million a year from that. That immediately makes them, they last year finished with a positive margin of about $1 million. If this goes forward as it looks like, that's going to completely make them, in the red. It's going to make them with enormous problems. There's cuts coming down with respect to Medicare. Historically, after the ACA expansion, there was federal subsidization for people that got their insurance on the exchange. That's also being cut this year. The guesses or the best estimation is that 80% of the people in California that had purchased insurance on the exchange get some of this federal subsidization. When that's lost, the current projection is that 600,000 people in California won't be able to afford commercial insurance. And the people that are staying on the exchange are going to probably have much higher premiums, because the people that won't re-enroll are people that don't think they'll need healthcare. The people that are really sick will go back on. So the insurance companies are going to increase rates. So these are all the challenges. Can I have the next slide? So, this is just a quick summary that we are expecting as a healthcare entity, and all the healthcare systems are expecting a significant increase in the number of people that are uninsured. People aren't going to come to the hospital. They're going to come late. They're going to come sicker. We're going to get paid less from even the patients we're taking care of that have Medicare or Medi-Cal. And, just to be honest about it, the viability of a number of the healthcare systems in our community is really very fragile. Watsonville, it's been in the paper. I'm not saying anything out of school. They're currently about $10 million in the red. They are actively looking for a partner, or they will close. Natividad's going to be challenged. Actually, all of the hospitals in Monterey County, other than the small margin that Natividad made and Salinas Valley Health, all had negative operating margins last year, including CHOM. And this graph there kind of illustrates what we're worried about. Prior to the ACA expansion, In roughly 2011, 2012, about 15 to 20% of people in California had no insurance. And then with all the things we've talked about, relatively small percentage of people in California and people in Monterey County had no insurance, about 5%. We're expecting that to go back up to 15 to 20% again. So these are all going to be big challenges for this community. Next slide, please. So what are we going to do? And my simple answer is we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. You know, we've anticipated this coming. There's a lot of kind of business things we're thinking about and how we're going to operate. We're not looking at major cuts right now, any cuts really directly related to this. You know, we've always been very community oriented, at least as long as I've been there. We're going to continue the mobile clinic. We'll keep going. Next slide, please. We've, again, kind of advertising for all the great things that we're still trying to do in this community. In Taylor Farms, we have the yoga classes, Zumba classes. We're going to continue to do things whatever we can do to keep people healthy and out of the hospital. Next slide, please. We've already mentioned that we're celebrating our 10th anniversary for the Taylor Family Farms Health and Wellness Clinic. I know Mayor Rios has graciously said he would speak at this event to see. We're going to have both a big community health day. The team is going to make it a great day. And we're going to be offering vaccines. One of the other kind of passions I have is an infectious disease physician. And this is another huge challenge we're feeling from a federal level is this whole issue about vaccination. And our doctors are very frustrated. They're seeing patient after patient in all of our clinics and families who are refusing vaccines. And we're really trying to get that message out. And you're going to start seeing that as well. We used to just set up vaccine clinics, and now we have to talk people into coming to even get vaccines. Next slide, please. Another thing we've really tried to do is we realized from an economic standpoint that historically in Salinas, if you wanted to get after hours care, the only place to go was the emergency department. So we're really trying to make this, again, more accessible and more financially viable. So if you're being seen in one of our clinics, including the Taylor Family Farms Clinic, you can use our Salinas Clinic as an urgent care center. So it's staying open Monday through Friday from 5 to 9. On the weekends, we have urgent care that you can walk in on Saturdays and Sundays. So you can call and make an appointment, but it's really a walk-in urgent care clinic. And we're seeing over 1,000 patients a month that historically, many of those would have gone to the emergency department. Next slide, please. Same thing with we have an orthopedic urgent care center. Monday through Friday, you can walk into our clinic and you don't even have to be one of our clinic patients. Anybody can walk in. We're trying to let people with twisted ankles and sprains and things that aren't horrible fractures stay out of the emergency room, save a lot of money and save a lot of time. That's open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Anybody can walk in. Next slide, please. And we also have now put a telehealth component into our clinics where after hours it says, well, that's the right time. Good. 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. The previous slide I had it on, it had the wrong time. But once the urgent care component closes, you can call this telehealth clinic and they will take care of you. You can schedule it on my chart or you can call. We can give the information how to do it. And the goal is, again, a couple of things about this. There's a lot of telehealth services that we didn't really like. The good thing about this is the doctor who you're calling can look onto your chart, see who you are, what your history is, leave a note for your doctor the next day. And we can really, again, we've had very few patients that have gone from this that had to go to the emergency department. And many of the telehealth services, they just tell you to go to the emergency department. And this has been really phenomenal. And we track that. Next slide, please. Trying to get through this quickly. I apologize. Blue zones we're incredibly proud of. I think everybody knows we were certified. You know, we are incredibly appreciative of Gonzalez's input into this. Carmen, I don't know Jessica, but everybody told me on the team that I had to call her out. She was fantastic. You know, the community garden, the things you guys have done with respect to blue zones has been absolutely phenomenal. You know, we were at a point where we didn't think we had to continue the Blue Zone brand and we could run this on our own. So we're calling it the Live Well or a BBVN program, basically the same program. And we're going to continue to do it, but we'll be able to save money and continue to provide the other services that we've been, you know, historically been doing. Next slide. Mobile clinic, you know, again, I won't go through this, but this is, you know, I think a couple of things we're the most proud of, frankly, is the overall clinics. the mobile clinic, Blue Zones, and Taylor Family Farms Clinic. But we now have a mobile clinic that provides all these services. We've had it for a number of years. We've gone over 20,000 patient encounters. We're doing vaccines. We can go to the next slide there. And this just, again, if people don't know, these are the hours that we do the mobile clinic. And we're always open for if somebody wants to do it at a special time or special place, we can always try to work that out. And I think this is the last slide, and it's something I mentioned before. We're really going to start a very active campaign. Claudia's been working on it. You're going to see it on billboards and in advertisements and in social media, where our doctors are really going to try to get the message out how important vaccinations are. I mean, last year we had over 200 patients very sick, hospitalized at Salinas Valley Health that had influenza or respiratory syncytial virus. Almost none of those people were vaccinated. And everyone who died was unvaccinated. So we're really trying to get the message out how important we think vaccines are. So I think that's it. Is that the last slide? Yes. So I tried to go fast. I apologize. I really appreciate your patience in listening to all that, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions.
Council,
I don't have any questions, but I do.
go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Redder, thank you so much. I remember after your last visit, I did reach out to Ms. Hecox, I think, in your.
Ollie Hecox, yeah.
And I'm very appreciative for our interaction. And one of the things I did mention was the inability for some of our the patients here. I'm born and raised here through this medical clinic here that used to be run by Dr. Fassett, who delivered me many moons ago. But I said, you know, there's long wait times and there's no place for us to go other than the emergency room. So whatever you can do to help facilitate people needing to just go in real quick. And since then, I've had to take my mother, who's going to be 96 in about a month, had to take her in twice. Once I saw Susan, and then last week or a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, saw Dr. Garcia here. And everything worked out fantastic. And the other thing is, thank you so much for allowing us to use the facility for the chair yoga every week. It's been a fun thing for me to learn. And the group has grown. I think last week we had about 15 or 16 participants, and it changes. Sometimes we have a mixed bag, but mostly it's women. And it could range from 3 people to like 15 or 16. So thank you so much. Please tell Molly that I really appreciate our conversation, and I'm glad to see that some of the things that I was most concerned with have been remedied. So thank you so much.
So 2 quick comments. One is you should take full credit, since a year ago it was crummy and now it's much better. It's thanks to you. So you get full credit. And the second thing is the clinic was built as a community center, and we are more than happy to host lots of things there. So, if you need a place to meet, we're happy to host that.
Thank you.
Ms. Worthy or Ms. Orozco? Anything?
I do.
Oh. You appreciate it?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a couple of questions. For the uninsured, how do you bill for those services? Do you do it on a sliding fee
Yeah,
scale or?
yes, we have a sliding fee scale. And honestly, we don't send people collections with no insurance, et cetera. But we do have a sliding fee scale, and we turn no one away.
The other concern that I have, and that I've been hearing from some of our residents, is the real need for mental health services. We have many of our families whose children are really going through some very challenging times. There's a lot of fear just because of the nature of what we're going through right now. And they feel that there's no place where they can seek support or counseling for their children. I know that in some of the county clinics, you have to be referred to a program of some sort. You have to go through the system. Kids have to be on probation in order for them to get full-scale mental health services. So is that something that in addition to all the other services that you're offering, is that something that you see in the near future could be offered at any of the clinics if someone just walks in and needs that support for their families?
Yeah, no, so that's a fantastic question. We you know, I showed the picture of the clinics and showed 200 providers. If I replaced every single one of those people with behavioral health providers, I wouldn't have enough. I mean, it's just a massive problem. Nationally, it's a huge problem. Locally, post-COVID, it's a huge problem. We tried to build out behavioral health and we just couldn't. And part of the reason was almost all the behavioral health providers could work from home and do telehealth and make more money, and they liked doing that.
Yeah.
So we actually kind of pivoted and we put together a couple of behavioral health components that are telehealth within our clinics. So if you come to our clinics, let's say you're followed at Taylor Family Farms Clinic, we have pediatric and adult behavioral health telehealth services that are built into the clinic system. We use something called Mood Health. There's another service for kids. I can't remember what it is. So if somebody goes to our clinic and they see Dr. Garcia or see one of our doctors and they need behavioral health counseling, you can get that through our clinic. But it's a telehealth. But I'm not a huge telehealth fan, but I do think for behavioral health, many people think it's better because you're at home, you're in a comfortable environment, it's private. So we do, I mean, I don't have the numbers at the tip of my tongue, but we literally have treated thousands and thousands of people with behavioral health problems using that service. So it's been very successful. It's not perfect. And it's really geared for people with anxiety, depression. I mean, people that are floridly schizophrenic, that need inpatient care. We just can't do that in the clinic or from telehealth. But for a huge number of people, we have been able to support them through this telehealth component of our clinic system. And I can have Molly or somebody reach out to you and give you a lot more information about that.
Thank you. And I'd just like to iterate what Liz said. My grandchildren go to the Taylor Clinic and my grandson is a little autistic, and that's the only clinic that he goes to. And that's the only doctor that he wants to see when he goes there. Just the care of services that are provided there. Really want to thank you for that and thank the staff
Oh,
also.
thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of quick
Yes, sir.
comments. I will share with you that you have some excellent vampires. Every time I go, I don't even feel when they prick me. But they're overworked because, you know, it's really amazing to me to see how many people pile into that small waiting room and people waiting in the cars outside. Obviously, blood test is key to diagnosing anything. And there's people that I've sat there waiting that are coming all the way from Lockwood. I think that's a tribute to your operation there and how well they feel coming to Gonzales, not having to run all the way up to Salinas for a simple blood draw. So
Yeah.
my kudos to you and your personnel there. They're very good at what they do. There are times though, that would be nice to have a couple more little folks sucking blood out because it's like I said, it's busy and it is a very necessity for any kind of diagnostic work. So, but thank you so much. I think
you.
if Dr. Fassett was here to see this all, he'd be quite proud of what you've all accomplished because he started in one little office, which we know, City Hall, and to see where, you know, what used to be City Hall, then the moved next door and now it's all the way out there. I think he'd be just beaming from ear to ear. Thank you. You've done a great job.
Thank you. Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Mhm. All right. Next on the agenda is certificates of recognition for the American Legion Auxiliary Girls State. Who's going to do that? Is that Lorraine? No? Oh, sorry.
I have no idea what it's all about. Yeah, it's a lot.
What's with-
Oh, I didn't see. I didn't see. I know.
Okay.
Four.
He's gonna do it. I'll let either one of you two go up there and do that.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So you just go ahead and do it. Oh, I have no idea. Yeah.
So Carissa, you want to say a few words as to what the certificate is for?
Yes. So the American Legion Auxiliary of California Girls State Program empowers the next generation of women leaders through an immersive hands-on experience in civic engagement and government. Each summer, these outstanding women from across the state get together and build a mock government from the ground up, learning how laws are made, how communities are led, and how their voices can create change. Your support helps us provide scholarships, resources, and opportunities that inspire confidence, leadership, and a lifelong commitment to service. When you invest in Girl State, you're not just supporting a program, you're shaping the future leaders of California and our nation. And then this is Daniela, who was our Gonzalez Girl State delegate. Stand on this side.
Well, this was news to me. I was the chairman of this project for many, many years until just a couple of years ago. So certificate of recognition, Daniela Ariola Ambris, Gonzalez High School. On behalf of the City Council of the City of Gonzalez, we would like to express our congratulations and recognition for your outstanding achievement and representation of your community as a citizen of the 82nd session of the American Legion Auxiliary California Girls State at California State University, Sacramento. We commend your commitment to service, leadership, development, and learning the importance of meaningful participation at all levels of government. Dated this day, October 6, 2025, and it is signed by our mayor. Congratulations. So I take it she's going to give the report at the November meeting? Okay, then I'll see you at the November. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Silva. All right, next on the agenda is Community Center update.
Mayor Rios, we've got Luis Flores, our construction manager with Harrison Associates, and Tyler Verdun of Auto Construction are going to make this presentation.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Rios, City Council members. My name is Luis Flores. I'm the construction manager on the Gonzalez Community Center project, and I'm joined here with Tyler Verdun from Auto Construction, and we're going to provide you with a construction progress update on the community center. So overall, the focus of our presentation today is going to be progress update since the last time that we visited a couple months ago, and then just an overall schedule forecast with the remaining activities as the project closely comes to completion. So we'll start off with an overview of site improvements. So since the last time we were here in early July. Our switchgear arrived. It was delivered on July 15th, which was roughly a week ahead of schedule. When it was initially ordered, it had a 65-week lead time. So that was every day was a win towards our schedule. So that week really helped. In addition to the switchgear, on the exterior, we've had our steel canopy that surrounds the building perimeter on the inside completed. Site concrete is substantially complete. We have one concrete pour left for the monument sign at the front of the building. And then we also have two concrete pours. We have another one for the amphitheater seat wall. Irrigation is also substantially complete. It's now closer to 95%. We're working on installing irrigation boxes for the valve boxes throughout the site. And as I mentioned earlier, the monument sign footing, that's complete. The next pour is going to be the CMU block for the actual, where the actual stucco and lettering will be installed. If you drive past the site, you probably see on the northeast corner of the site, there's a section of rebar just sticking out. That's where the monument sign will go. And then lastly, on the site front, we have our trash enclosure steels in, the CMU is complete. And so that is just now awaiting stucco, and it should be completed. Here are some progress photos of the courtyard area. This is the side that you can't see from the street. So you could see there's the concrete at the courtyard is installed. The steel canopy wrapping around the building is in. And then we have two concrete planters outside of the library patio area on the west side of the building. Those are complete as well. We can move on to the next slide. And then here's a couple other photos. One of them, again, concrete area. The one on the right-hand side, you can see there's dirt surrounded by concrete. So that area is going to be sod. So that should be going in the next couple of weeks. And so that area is also going to be the area where we have some fun activities planned. There's going to be a ping pong table and a Connect Four game in that area. On the left-hand side, we have a concrete pump for one of the last pours that happened again a couple weeks ago. So that whole area that you see there is now poured, leading up to the main library entrance. With that, I'll turn it over to Tyler.
Thanks, Luis. All right, good evening. So the building exterior, we have the HPL panels. Those are the wooden panels that you see when you drive by. That's complete. The roof fascia, that's been going in over the last few weeks. It's substantially complete at this point. The exterior louvers, those were installed. Card readers are installed, and then we have the drinking fountain and bottle filler installed as well. So that's the building exterior. We have some pictures here. So again, these are the HPL panels. They're striking with the big windows, and you can also see the fascia up at the top of the roof perimeter. This is both pictures. The one on the right, you can also see this called a thin profile louver, but that real tall louver above the window. And then at the interior, we have interior lighting that's complete. The T-bar grid acoustic ceiling is in. They're installing registers and other equipment in there now. The acoustic baffles are complete. Ceramic tile, that's all done. The electrical, mechanical, plumbing finishes, that's about 85% done. Will be done in a week or so. The interior paint is done. The low voltage cabling has been run. Some of the final devices are being installed now. Restroom accessories, that's the grab bars and partitions, those are in. And interior doors and hardware, about 90%, just a little more hardware to go. So the top left, this is the teen lounge. So this is gonna be the fun place to hang out. You see the niche on the left, and you see the lights hanging at different elevations, and the baffles up top. The middle and the top, this is the library, so it has a carpet, also baffles and lights you can see there. On the right, this is the Teen Innovation Center. So it's got the VCT flooring, and you can see a little bit of on the right side by the windows, these are tack panels, so you'll be able to post things up there and collaborate in that way. Bottom left, again, lights and baffle system. You can see some of the HVAC equipment coming down, or ducting rather. And then the bottom center and to the right, these are plumbing finishes. So I'll try and talk through this video a little bit. It's 45 seconds long. First half of it, mostly working on the interior and the steel canopy going up. You can kind of see it, saw a boom lift in there in the middle. You can see it kind of coming together. Soon you'll see the fascia at the top perimeter of the roof, so that'll start going in as well. It'll go in real quick from our point of view. And then shortly we'll start seeing some concrete trucks and concrete pump come in. And there it is right there. We're getting all the flat work completed. So here, there goes the fascia.
Tyler. And that video really just was intended to capture the last couple of months since the last time that we came. But if you look at the whole video since when the project started, it's about almost 6 minutes long now. Takes a photos captured every 15 minutes. And so with that, we'll conclude the presentation with a schedule forecast and upcoming milestones and past milestones. So the big one that we want to highlight is obviously the PG&E permanent power. So as I mentioned earlier, the switchgear got delivered on July 15th, and we got permanent power by August 25th, which is pretty remarkable. 6 weeks. I've never worked on a project where we received permanent power that fast, and it's all thanks to all of the the staff here, Patrick, the mayor, for continuing to help us with coordinating with PG&E government affairs representatives and highlighting our project and giving them schedule updates on our anticipated delivery date. And so all of your efforts, this is the fruition of that. We got power again 6 weeks after our switchgear arrived, which is the fastest that I've ever been on a project and gotten power that fast. Usually 10, 15 weeks after the switchgear is delivered. So big thank you to everybody involved. Upcoming milestones. So you can see landscape substantial completion. So that's something that you don't really see on the video now. And so last month here of October, that's really going to start taking shape. So right now we're starting to planting activities next week. Temporary certificate of occupancy. We're shooting for that inspection on November 4th. And that would also be the substantial completion date for the project. And then 45 days later is what we project for final completion, which is December 19th. Potential challenges and risks, again, through the duration of the project, the main one was the switchgear, the other one being weather. Still left weather as a potential challenge just because as we move into planting activities, weather could potentially impact some of the planting, but as far as holistically looking at the schedule and occupancy, it shouldn't really have an impact on the overall impact to the project. And so with that, we'll open it up to questions, and yeah, we'll open it up to you.
Questions of council? Ms. Orozco, would you like to start? You're good? Okay. Liz?
Sure, I'll go. Great job. I go by there, every once in a while, I take pictures too, as they're hanging over the top and putting the fascia on. I'm taking pictures of them. I'm very excited, as you can tell. Question, what is CMU?
So it's concrete masonry unit. So it's like these 8x12 concrete cylinders that I think you could see it on one of the videos, but it's basically a material that's used on the trash enclosure. And it's made of concrete blocks. They're hollow on the inside, and it's an alternative to utilizing, concrete walls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so kind of along the same lines, I know that many of our residents and former residents have purchased bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Is that going to be part of the completion project, or is that going to come later?
No, that's going to happen within the next month. So essentially, we blocked out within the concrete courtyard area of the facility on the backside of the amphitheater. We blocked out certain areas within the site flat work, and that is where these pavers are going to be installed. And so,
and are there still opportunities for people to purchase bricks?
So I think there is capacity for more bricks, but we're limited to just the smaller size, which is 4x8s. Yeah, and so there is extras, if you will, that are going to be blanks within.
There'll be the 4x8s.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just want, because as we get closer, people are seeing it come to fruition, and people are asking, well, can I still buy a brick? It's like, yes, but it's going to cost you twice as much now. People are waiting. Of course, I'm just laughing all the time. But again, great job. And I did drive by the other day, and the lights inside the Teen Innovation Center are awesome. I know that y'all keep them on for safety reasons. And I love them, even from the outside. I think they look really cool. I like the different levels. They're not all at the same height. So the students who worked on picking these fixtures and everything, kudos to all of them for their input, because even from the outside, we're not even in there yet. And I'm amazed. So I can hardly wait to get in there.
Yeah, no, the GYC was, a big part of the design effort of the Teen Innovation Center, Teen Lounge. And so, yeah, kudos to them for helping. And there's, new group of students every year,
right.
But, throughout the, design phase and the last couple of years or last year and a half of construction, they've all been very much involved.
Great
in the project. So it's been neat to have them around.
Good to hear. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Worthy?
Great. I echo my colleagues. It's so amazing. I love going by at night and seeing those lights. It looks really, really cool. I do want to remind people though, because I have had some people say something. We're looking at the Teen Innovation Center and we're looking at the library.
Yes.
So I want our residents to be aware of that they, we're doing this in phases. And it's exciting. I'm glad that, and I don't know what the capacity is in the Teen Innovation Center. You might
I
Be
think
able to
that,
tell us that?
yeah, so the Teen Innovation Center is about 35 occupants.
35,
Yeah.
okay, 35 to 40, so small little things that we could maybe do in there.
Yeah, but there's 2 rooms, right? So the other
Right.
component is the teen lounge, and so
Right,
it's
right.
double that, so.
So
yeah.
that'd be great.
Combined, yeah.
Well, it's exciting. The building looks beautiful
Mm-hmm.
and it really, I think, elevates our community and makes everything look really beautiful. And thank you. You guys have worked really hard and you've done a great job. I mean, just the fact that we're getting things done quicker than we anticipated makes a big difference. So thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, guys.
Couldn't do it without your help.
And my dad always said it was better to have friends than money. And tell you what, I could echo that. It's definitely good to have more friends than money. But thank you. Everything's looking good. I understand from PG&E that it really wasn't a huge job for them. They were actually done, could have been done by noon, but they got called off for power lines out in old stage that were down. So that's why it took as long as it did. So.
Yeah, no, they left for that, and then they were back and they stayed until they finished. I think they
Yep.
were done by like 9 o'clock at night. So.
It helps, don't it?
It does.
It does.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
All righty, next on the agenda is items from the public not on the agenda. Any member of the public may address the council for a period not to exceed 2 minutes on any subject not on the agenda. The council will listen to all communications, but will make no comment. So we got one. Okay.
All right, Henry Martinez Jr. I've only come back, I've been on vacation. Glad to see the investigation is moving forward. I got hit up by the city's investigator. As you can already tell, if some of you have been contacted or have not yet, my private investigator is making her rounds along with my attorney. We're moving forward with the lawsuit against the city as we're just waiting on the city's decision what they're going to do. So I'm glad it's moving forward. Finally get some peace from this mess. And brought a special guest who wanted to speak and was afraid to speak due to the officers, as some of his friends were arrested because of the same incident. So we're here to back him up in case anything does happen, but he wants to speak.
Hey, it's fine. We're signing a bit nervous.
Okay, step up to the mic, please. Oh. You state your name?
My name is Antonio Alvarez Leon. And I reside at 753 Austin Way. I'm here to formally represent myself regarding the events that took place on July 4th, 2025. I would like to clarify that I am the individual who recorded the event and the arrest of my friends. I am not affiliated with the Martinez family. I was present solely attend the event and to promote it on my Instagram account during the time and the week prior. I want to express that I found the way your officers handled the situation to be unacceptable. The reason I did not intervene at the time was because I was genuinely afraid that the officers might retaliate or direct their actions towards me as well. This same fear also prevented me from coming forward sooner. However, I have now found the courage to speak up and share my experience, as I believe it is important to stand up for myself and for what is right. The actions of the town of Gonzales have caused significant emotional distress to me. The children who attended the event, the participants involved in the event, and the Martinez family. We believe that we deserve justice for the harm and trauma we have endured as a result of these events.
Thank you. I don't know.
Henry Martinez III. I was there during that incident. I had to step inside in my parents' house, not to escalate anything. And now all these officers comes in on a kids' party with guns drawn. And I did not like that one bit. And now I hear a click on a gun, pointing straight to my mother. And I had to save her by tackling her. These officers are corrupted, and you guys not doing nothing. And now I'm part of the damn lawsuit, because of the chief is now being a whole tight dick about it. And now, sorry for my language, anger. So now I'm wondering if I'm safe to go out anywhere. I wonder, I can't even eat at my Korean noodle place because it's right next to the police department. And now I'm afraid that my friends are in danger because of these police officers. And now I'm been stuck inside the house almost a year now because of these guys. Now I'm protecting my family. I got a body armor now because I'm afraid to get shot, which I almost did by an officer. And I know his name. I'm not going to say his name because the chief knows. And I saved my mom from getting shot. They punched my dad while he's taking him in handcuffs to the car. That's unlawful. Like, now you guys are going to pay what you guys did. I didn't come back for nothing. You guys have my ID on hold for a year straight. I'm supposed to get it back a certain month. And now I have someone 2%.
Thank you.
Okay. As you know, I'm a senior citizen. I ride my bikes all over town. Ever since they pulled Roman over and gave him a ticket, I wanted to tell the chief, I have a medical note saying my tricycle is an electric scooter. They want me to get exercise. With the electric scooter, I can go forward, backwards, and one ways. With this note, it's telling the officers that I can use my bike going the wrong way on the sidewalks. And hopefully I get back on riding bikes. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is last month I brought in the paper. The chief didn't bother reading it. I gave it to the staff. That was the California ordinance of 387, which gives me the right to ask any officers to have a person arrested for a felony. I requested on the 4th of July last year that the sergeant be arrested for assault. I am waiting for the chief to answer if he's gonna call me in the office to have the officer there so I can file the paperwork. It is not his choice. It's in the government. I gave you guys all copies of the paper of 837, how to do a felony arrest, citizen arrest. And I have not gotten any response back from the chief. He's supposed to call me back and says, Mr. Martinez, I'm ready to file your paperwork. Just come in my office, sign the paper, and I'll have the officer arrested. And like, again, it is not his choice to whether he wants to file it or not. He has to, or any other officer has to do what I say when I say I want to do a citizen arrest, because it's in the Constitution of California. Nobody has the right to deny me my citizen right to citizen arrest a person that committed a felony in this town.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Anyone else? Okay.
I don't.
No one else? Okay. Marisol, do we have any comments via Zoom?
Yes, we have Andrew Brown.
Mr. Brown, you're online. Is he unmuted?
Okay, up here.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, geez, another complaining citizen. I have a concern, but I don't want that to negate all the positives. I was at a listening session a few days ago and citizens were asking, oh, we have all these issues. And I'm like, the public comment email is, or the public info email is very responsive, and they fix a problem or they tell you why they can. That's how government works. So it's, very positive interactions I had. My concern is August 18th, there was a public comment that I submitted that was not only not read, but not submitted to the record. And I didn't get a response at all until today. I showed up, who wants to look at another email? So I went in person, asked the clerk, and the clerk said the reason was the attorney said I put satire under it. I don't think that constitutes disruption or disorder, which would only be the reason to exclude a public comment in full off of the minutes. I will, you don't have to read it, that's fine, but it was not read and then not submitted in the record. So I would like it for it to be submitted on the record, because the only way you could exclude it if it's disorderly conduct, and I would probably have been arrested by now if it was. But it's not. Now, what is this comment I'm talking about? How is it so controversial? I don't know. I would ask the city attorney what it was, or you feel free to contact me later. But thank you for your work. Appreciate it. Awesome meetings and presentations I saw, and hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Marisol, is there anyone else wishing to comment on Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Okay. Mary, any comments via email? Okay. That being said, I will go ahead and close the public comment period and then bring it back to council and move it on the agenda. Is the consent agenda before you. It's items 6 through 8. If there's anyone wishing to pull an item from the consent agenda, let's do that now, or questions for staff. And if not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. We're gonna do a little change here. We're gonna take the wastewater report and move that up, and then we'll move the other one down. So, who's ever here, there's someone here from Patrick?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor Rios, council members. This will be, let's see, a lot's been going on with the wastewater, the municipal plant, and also the industrial wastewater plant that's under construction. And joining me to help with this presentation is Megan Panofsky of MNS Engineers. She's our construction manager on all things lumpy water. And she we engaged MNS on the, I believe it was April of 2024. And we've been grinding away on the industrial wastewater system ever since. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Megan.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. As Patrick said, my name is Megan Panofsky. I'm the program and construction manager for the wastewater system for you guys. And I haven't been here since February, so I wanted to come and give you an update on where we are with the program. So I'm not going to go through all of these that we have listed here, but these are a lot of the milestones that we've achieved in 2025 so far. I will go into more detail on some of these, but there have been quite a few that we've been able to achieve, and we're looking forward to many more moving forward. Next slide. So what I'll call phase 1A of the industrial system, the industrial wastewater conveyance pipeline project was completed. You guys accepted that project in July of this year. It was completed on time and actually under budget. The final construction costs actually came in under bid, which is pretty fantastic. As well as the overall total project budget, which included, the consultant's fees for, the design consultant providing review of submittals and such, as well as construction management, ended up coming in roughly $500,000 under budget. So very successful phase of the industrial wastewater program. And which brings us to phase 1B, the industrial wastewater treatment facility project. So we bid that project out early this year, received 6 very competitive bids. As you can see, the top 3 bids that are provided on this slide are all within $500,000, and it works out to about 2%. So it was a very tight, very competitive bid. And we awarded that contract in May of 2025. And you can go ahead and move on. So while we did get very competitive bids, unfortunately, it was slightly above budget. And as you all are aware, we did go and approach SRF for a $6 million loan extension to fund the project, which was approved and has now been executed, for the total project coming into about $34.9 million for the total loan amount. And because of the great interest rate that you guys were able to get, as well as contingency that was built in by your rate consultant, we were able to accommodate that additional $6 million in the rate case that you guys did in 2023. So if you can move on. So we started work. In July of this year, we issued the notice to proceed to Gateway Pacific. That's our contractor out on site. We mobilized and we started work. We are now about 95% complete on the grading. And with the next upcoming activity is going to be to start excavating for the infiltration wet well. So it'll be a deep excavation that they're going to start working on. We are still on budget. It's early days on this project, but the critical item is going to be long lead items like electrical, which you guys just heard about on your community service project. Switchgears, electrical are always long lead items. So we're making sure and moving forward on those submittals as quickly as we can to make sure that we're going to stay on schedule. And so we are looking at a completion date of March 2027 right now, and we are pushing forward to make sure that we can meet that. This is actually a short video of a drone flight that we did of the site, so you can see the progress that we've made. It's no longer an old ag field. You can see the grading that's been completed, as well as that's your treatment pond number 1 and 2, as well as those 2 side-by-side ponds are going to be the infiltration basins for the future industrial wastewater treatment facility. And you can go ahead and move to the next slide. Other aspects that we've been working on in the wastewater program is the Municipal Wastewater Treatment Plant Planning Grant. We did receive $300,000 from the State Water Resources Control Board and of a grant to proceed with moving forward on planning that project. The planning study, we kicked it off in August of this year, and actually today we held the site walk with Dudek, who are the engineers that are going to be working on that planning study. We're anticipating completion in April of 2026, but as of today, we talked about trying to expedite that to the extent possible. So they'll be evaluating alternative treatment processes and determining what the next steps forward will be when we go for rehabilitation of that plant. And then we've also been working on the emergency infiltration work. The last time I was here, we had been discussing Basin D, which had been constructed in an emergency capacity to help with the discharge from the existing municipal plant. Unfortunately, we're still struggling to keep up with the discharge. We have, as you can see here, towards the center is the Basin D. And we've also constructed several flood lanes as well as additional infiltration basins to help keep up with the discharge. We've also taken a look at the treatment process as a whole and identified that the chlorine slugs that we're receiving from industrial users have been negatively impacting the treatment process. And so we're taking a look at a possible dechlorination system at the head of the treatment plant to intercept those chlorine loads, which have been killing the biology of the plant and has turned the basins into sedimentation basins at this point. So you're seeing some not the best water quality moving through the plant, which has then inhibited the percolation of some of these basins. So as I mentioned, we're also looking, we're looking at dechlorination at the head of the plant. We're also looking at bioaugmentation, which will help the biology in the plant itself and regrow those bugs that have been killed by the chlorine. And we're also looking at pricing to rehabilitate the basins A and C to try and recoup some of that percolation at the existing plant. Oh, sorry. Back to that last slide. We've also had to, as of Friday of last week, started to use the infiltration basins of the new industrial wastewater treatment plant to assist with infiltration of the wastewater coming out of the existing plant. And we've also started meeting with the industrial users and trying to work with them in any way possible. You can move on. Sorry? Oh, yeah, sorry, next slide. As far as the 2025 to 2026 wastewater work plan moving forward, these are the items that we are working towards. You can move to the next slide. We're going to continue working on the industrial wastewater treatment facility. As I mentioned, we are using those ponds in a temporary fashion. We do need to be out of them by February in order to continue to have the contractor stay on schedule. We'll continue forward with that construction. We'll also be applying for the discharge permit for that plant, which we're already coordinating with the State Water Resources Control Board. So they'll be able to issue it. We're just getting closer to the actual startup of the facility. And we'll still be working on the municipal wastewater system. These are several projects that we are currently looking at, with focus on rehabilitation of the plant. You can move on. And then, of course, another large portion of this project is working on the pretreatment program and getting that issued. Drafts have been provided to the industrial users, and we hope to have that in front of you in the next month or so. Any questions or comments? Yes.
My question's related to the percolating ponds.
Yes.
Okay, I know that we had installed a new one in December, right?
Correct.
Didn't we put a new one in December?
Yes.
Is something going on with that pond?
It's full.
It's full. Okay, so what does that mean
So what
to
that.
my ignorant self?
It's, Councilmember Worthy, as Megan mentioned, what is happening is, as the plant is basically does not have a biological
Right.
activity, we're getting sludge and algae into our percolation beds and now into that pond D that we constructed. And so that inhibits the percolation rate.
How long has that been going on?
So it's on the order of 4 months.
Yeah.
Why are we just hearing about that now? Just out of curiosity.
We had hoped that we could percolate the water with our flood lanes and other efforts.
Okay, so, I'm understanding what you're saying. So what does that mean for the future? I mean, I know that we're starting the process and we're doing everything, but does that mean we have to have additional percolating ponds?
So, no, at the end of last week, we began putting the wastewater out of the municipal plant into what was complete, the basins that were completed over the fence in the industrial wastewater treatment facility. So this was a plan developed over maybe the last month, that if we run into more of a problem getting rid of wastewater, and fingers crossed, the contractor, Gateway Pacific, was going to finish grading of these infiltration basins, that we would be ready to put the wastewater out of the municipal plant into these new infiltration basins on the industrial wastewater treatment site.
Right.
As we'll continue to do that over the next several months, and as Megan mentioned, we have to be out of them by February. So the point is that we'll drain, basin A, disposal basin A and disposal basin C, and rehabilitate those through basically removing several feet of soil that has a lot of fines in it and replace that with sand.
Okay.
So the effort is drain and dry basin A, get in there, do geotechnical work to understand, is it 18 inches, 24 inches, what is it? We did this 6 or more months ago on the emergency basin that we have at the treatment plant, and we had to remove 18 inches.
18 inches.
18 inches
of fines.
Soil with fines to restore the percolation of that emergency basin, which we're also using.
Okay, so in other words, the percolation ponds that we just put in December,
The one.
the
The
one,
one.
exactly, wasn't working or isn't working right.
It's slowed.
Oh,
It's slowed.
it slowed
still
it down.
percolating,
Okay.
But it's slowed because of the sludge and the algae that.
So now we have sludge and algae that's been accumulating over the last
Well,
10 months.
it passes through the.
Right.
treatment.
I mean,
Yes.
If I can, if I can add and clarify a little bit,
Yeah.
it's the same issue. We have just too much water coming in. So they're not percolating fast enough either way. Our new emergency pond is full because of the amount of water discharge that we are getting either way. So we're not able to
Keep up with the demand.
let go of the water as fast as it's coming in. And so, for example, I mean, it's a constant ebb and flow. Sometimes we're doing okay. And then sometimes, I mean, just last week, there was a squirrel hole that, was about to rupture one of the levees. And so staff has to go in and build up to prevent further issues with it. So it really is kind of a get in front of it as soon as we know that there's a problem. The biggest problem is, I mean, the multiple factors that you guys all know about is the percolation is not working fast enough on any of them. And then the sludge and additional fines that just continue to come in into all the ponds. We just met with Braga earlier today and had the same discussion we've been having. You guys gotta do your part, less water, less water. And of course, nobody wants to hear that because that means lower production on their end, which they're not, folks aren't willing to necessarily do either. So it is just I mean, they want to collaborate, but it is an issue. So it's the constant problem that we have that we can't get rid of our water fast enough.
Well, and I think it goes back to having all these businesses coming in and not being able to maintain based on the fact that we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate them. And whether or not they're willing to work with us on this, they probably are going, like you said, they want to continue their production. They want to go as quickly as they possibly can. And is that their problem? I guess is my question. I know that sounds odd the way I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But
I think they understand that it's everybody's problem. I mean, they're very cooperative, I would say, and do their part when they can. But obviously, they also have pressures to produce and business is doing well for them. And
Yeah.
so unfortunately, yes, our infrastructure cannot hold all of the water that they're releasing. That's really the end of it. We're lucky that we had the new facility under construction and that it's at least the disposal fields are ready to go that we can dump into there for now. Our big issue is going to be now rehabilitating our current ponds so that we can move water back in there because we have to be out of the new ponds before February so they can finish the construction. So we will come back with more information as the team looks at numbers and what to do because we basically are having to rehabilitate sooner than expected.
Yeah.
And as I understood from your comments, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a big part of that problem is the amount of chlorination that's coming through our system from those processing facilities. Do you know, have they increased the amount that they're putting in their water? Are they having to sterilize more? Is that part of the problem? And if so, I'm not sure why we as a city should be paying for that heightened chlorine, because you mentioned that we're looking at a filtration to remove some of that chlorine. Or am I incorrect as to what you just commented?
The chlorine is part of the issue.
Because it's killing the bacteria.
It's killing the bacteria that's in the treatment ponds. And so that's part of the pre-treatment program that we're pushing through. And I don't believe that they have been changing, what they're doing at these facilities. However, there has been a changing of guard in some of the folks that they have working at those plants and the learning curve of using their pre-treatment facilities that they have in place right now. We're just seeing these spikes that are coming through. And Several of the large industrial users do have dechlor setups at their plants. However, you get one that comes through and doesn't get caught, or there's an issue with some of the equipment at the site and it hits the plant. It's hit the plant.
So just to build on that, Mayor
Yeah.
Rios, is, so Public Works staff, 7 days a week, goes and visits the sampling stations at Taylor, Delani, and Braga, and they record the quantity, what's the meter say in the last 24 hours, because this is between 9 and 10 a.m. And they also record the free chlorine, and if they're over 0.5%, I believe is
0.5 parts.
0.5 parts, then that's what they're over what we want. We want it to actually be below 0.5 parts, closer to 0.3. Braga was over that 4 times in the month of September, 4 times in the month of July. And, reiterating what Megan's said is that getting the revised or updated sewer ordinance with more stringent pretreatment requirements is going to basically, put teeth in what we can do to these processing facilities.
Oh, good, good. I was hoping that you would say that because, it shouldn't become our problem what they're doing incorrectly. And so if there's some teeth in there that we can say, okay, fine. You want to overchlorinate? Here's your fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think that one of my concerns is what if we have to do the same process again that we just did in December and pay a bunch of money that we don't have? You
Yeah,
know?
that's obviously our concern too, and what we're looking at. And there is, like, again, the rehab work is gonna have to be done sooner than later, and that was not the plan to do it sooner. So we are looking at that and what would that cost to rehab the existing plant. I do want to reiterate though, that it is a up and down game. Sometimes we're releasing more water, meaning percolating more water. If it's hot, we're doing better. And then all of a sudden we get a huge flow, and that's really what sets us back. So it's hard to just, that's why Public Works staff and Miss Tiffany is out there constantly just making sure that we have a free board that we have to have in place. But again, it is an issue, and you will be hearing more about it because we now are looking at how do we rehab those current basins that we have. So
But we are working on an ordinance.
the ordinance is, yes, the ordinance already, the pretreatment ordinance has been shared with the industrial users. And that's what we were meeting with Braga around today, among other things, and among what Patrick shared. Because we need to get on top of this, and there will be fines attached. There will be other things attached so that they don't continue just
Good.
doing it, because it is harming our system. We want to be business friendly, but we also have to be able to maintain what we have. And at this rate, we just can't continue.
Good.
So are we charging them the additional fees for the usage? Because I know that we had discussed that some time ago.
For the capacity?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they pay whatever they're using too. So they're paying their water use anyway. So if they go over, they're paying for it, but that's not so much the issue. The issue is our facility cannot handle it. So I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No.
Mr. Dobbins or Megan?
And then the panel you said was ordered. What size panel was that?
Oh, I don't recall off the top of my head. I apologize.
1,000 amp, 2,000,
I want to say 600.
600? Oh, it's
Yeah.
not that big.
So you mean it'll come fast?
You know what? 600 amps, I heard, are pretty easy to come by. The ones that get a little more difficult as you go up in amperage.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then.
Friends in low places.
I have some input.
You
when you're
do.
ready.
Absolutely.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
I worked in agriculture for most of my career, and I know that most of the companies have engineering staff. Could you go back to them and ask them if their engineers could look at a way to dechlorinate the water? I don't know if it takes laser beams or, George Jetson gun, I don't know. But is there a way that they can dechlorinate the water to a point that's acceptable so that it doesn't kill the bacteria that's necessary to process everything when it gets to the treatment plant? God, there's a fly here.
Yes, and that was part of the conversation that we had, for instance, today with Braga.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other two facilities as well. They do have the capacity to do that, but like I said, I mean, you've got failures that are coming through fairly frequently, as Patrick mentioned, several a month. And it takes the bugs, the biology in the treatment plants approximately like a month, if not longer, to grow back. So you're getting hit repeatedly by this large influx of chlorine. Your treatment plant just can't do its job. It can't treat the wastewater if it's getting hit that frequently.
And you were mentioning trying to remove the fines from the ponds.
Yeah.
Are the ponds lined or are they not lined?
They are not lined.
They are
They're not
unlined.
So what's on the bottom is organic then? It's sand or
It's earth.
rock or?
It's just earth. And at this point, it's very, very fine earth. And so it's kind of plugging up
Yeah.
any kind of percolation that we have going on.
And a real quick question, what's the difference between industrial wastewater and municipal wastewater? Okay, so, and I mean, and I say that because as we prepare to get our development going out here, how is that going to impact this? And should we start planning for that now so we don't have to deal with it later? Just asking a broad question.
So,
Yeah, asking for a friend.
Councilmember Silva, so to answer your question, the industrial wastewater here in Gonzales is the ag wash water from the processing facilities.
Okay.
And then, of course, the municipal is all the other dischargers. Yes, commercial, residential properties. Regarding the Vista Lucia projects, there was a technical studies developed several years ago. I know it was the February 2020 council meeting when those were presented and the council approved those 4 technical studies, and that included the sewer one. And so there's been a lot of modeling regarding what is it going to take to extend sewer to the Vista Lucia project. And I know that I want a couple of things. One is that we can take the first 400 or so homes with all we need to do is upgrade the 2 of the lift stations, and that'll get us the capacity for the first 400 homes for the sewer to get it to the municipal plant. After that, it's going to take some larger sewer lines, including along Elliott Street, as an example, is that sewer line needs to be upsized. Let's see. I think that's it. Let's see. I do want to mention back to the processors, but the Manpacking / Del Monte was the last facility built, as you know, and we put requirement on them that they have, regarding their industrial wastewater discharges, they have 200,000 gallon tanks. So they monitor that as far as the chlorine is concerned, and we don't have that at Taylor or Braga. Is basically they're holding the water and releasing it over a period of time within the guidelines that the city has specified. But what we find is the operators change, and then they don't necessarily all know how to operate the on-site facility. That is a challenge.
And that sounds like an opportunity to train people.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Couple of funds, I think would get them really educated really quick.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for your
Thank you.
input. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
There's no action needed on this item, is that correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just receive the update.
Okay. Then the next item on our agenda, which was number 9, is an update on city properties and valuations appraisals. Carmen, I'm assuming that's you, or is that?
Mr. Dobbins is going to kick us off.
Okay.
Yes, so we have a slide deck. And again, the action here is just for the council to provide staff with direction. And, okay, so next slide, please. So these are the let's see, several months ago, we engaged Paini Realty to obtain basically market value appraisals on these top 4. I added the Marchetti property because we're going to speak to it a little later in this slide, but I wanted to, these are the 5 properties that basically just make up this presentation. So next slide. And so now I'm going to step through the 5 different locations. So the first one, Canyon Creek Park, phase 2. So this is up the bench, up above or on an upper bench from the existing Canyon Creek Park. So this was, go ahead and jump to the next slide because I do have some. So this 3-acre site provided to the city as part of the development of Canyon Creek Park. I believe that was the final phase, phase 3. I spoke about the second bullet. You know, over the last 10 years, and I was involved in one of these, the city submitted grant applications, State of California. We were unsuccessful in several of these endeavors to see if we could get outside funding for ball fields and other amenities. And then, of course, it would be difficult to extend water, sewer, and electrical utilities to the site. This is just one that we are seeking council direction. Do we sell this parcel at this point in time, or do we, or not? Next slide. So then location number 2 is the Venice Park in the Cipriani subdivision. So go ahead to the next slide. So this is actually made up of 3 legal lots. These were created when the Cipriani subdivision map was approved. And, you know, they were basically owned by the original developer, and he had 10 years to wait for the city to decide what's there going to be a pedestrian bridge across US 101. 10 years passed. Turned out that he did not pay the property tax for several years. Tax assessor could not find him. I don't know all the ins and outs, but the city came into owning these parcels when the developer defaulted for paying property tax. You know, we looked at this a couple of years ago, and it could be 3 lots or they could be reconfigured into 4 lots. You know, there's driveways, there's, you know, when this Cipriani project was approved, basically the park impact fee went towards Centennial Park. That's considered the park for this project, not Venice Park. It just came along sort of as a placeholder for this neighborhood. So that's number 2. Next slide. So number 3, you know, the MAOF childcare facility, we had this appraised. Of course, it's across from La Gloria Elementary School. It's on you know, it's on the parcel. We'll go into the next slide with the community pool. MAOF long-term lease to them, and they take excellent care of the building and the grounds. They put their own money into this facility. Next slide. So then number 4 is, of course, the building next door. We affectionately call it the old medical building. And next slide. So we had this appraised. As you probably know, there's 3 separate office spaces. Two of them are leased. Sun Street Centers recently vacated, and our chief Jason has repurposed that as our EOC. And I just want to throw out that, and as you know, we own the properties, you know, on this half of the block. And should there be consideration for expanding City Hall as the city grows, or should we consider relocating City Hall, and maybe it should not be in the commercial core? And I'm just putting that out there. So let's see, the next one, please, is now the Marchetti property. So of course, on South Alta, right next to the Braga facility. Next slide. So this is a hair under an acre, and as I'm sure the council's aware, we purchased the property in 2022 with the goal of constructing senior housing. And City Manager Carmen, Community Development Director Tavin has met several times with CHISPA, and they basically came back and said, you know, there's no grant funding for this, possibly in 7 years, is what we're told. And this is where I segue to, you know, sale of any local agency, public agency property must go through the Surplus Land Act. And that's one more slide. Okay, so you know, this is in your in the staff report, and I just list the values that the Pioneer Realty came back with as to the market value for these 4 different properties. Next slide, which is the last slide. So again, conclusion, as you heard, and City Attorney Mike would have to build on this, selling city-owned property until it's complying with the State Surplus Land Act. Yes, we can bundle these, if the council were to say 2 or 3 properties to just put out there in the world, we could bundle those together. There is a specific process. State of California, Department of Housing and Community Development. And then lastly is, we're just council direction. What should we do with some or all of these properties? And not that we need to decide tonight. Interested in feedback. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Worthy.
No, we did not. I know that the city purchased it in 2022 for $500,000.
600.
Yeah, it was more.
Well, what did we buy it for?
The value was 500.
Thank you. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Okay.
So if we're on the lower end of all of these different locations, we're looking at about 1.5 for all these ones that you just showed us.
Got it.
On the load.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to put that out there, and that's all I have.
And my input would be, I know that there's that State Surplus Land Act. What is the timing on it? Let's just say at least one of these properties goes out there. What is the timing? Is it 60 days, 45 days? 30?
Carmen asked if I would give you guys a brief refresher on the Surplus Lands Act, which I'm happy to do right
Okay,
now.
sure.
Basically, the Surplus Lands Act, the intent and purpose is to increase the amount of land available for low-income housing as well as recreational and transit-related housing. Basically, under the SLA, that's the Surplus Land Act, these users must be given priority when selling or leasing the property that's no longer required for city use. So the first step in the process before the SLA kicks in is a determination as to whether or not you have any surplus property. And secondly, whether or not that surplus property may be exempt from the provisions of the SLA. And there's 11 statutory exemptions. So if the lot's less than 5,000 square feet, it's not subject to the SLA. If we're planning to convey the property to another city or a county or another affordable or an affordable housing entity, then it's not subject to the SLA. So there's a number of exemptions, but the first thing that's required under the act, the first step, is to identify what property you have that is surplus and then whether it's exempt or surplus. And you have to do that with a specific finding that then you pass along to our friends at the Housing and Community Development Department of the state, or HCD. They oversee the entire SLA process. So they have to see that, one, we have correctly identified surplus property and that the exemptions that we're declaring for the exempt property actually fit with the property that we've identified. So the next step in the process then is that we have to prepare a notice of availability. If we want to dispose of the property, and disposal, it's important to remember, is not only the sale of the property, but it's a lease that's in excess of 15 years. So any long-term lease that we want to enter into with any other entity or any developer or anything along those lines requires compliance with the SLA. So we have to prepare a notice of availability. Basically, the notice contains information like the appraised value of the property, the zoning designation of the property, and then any other information that we want. And the HCD requires the city to provide the NOA, the notice of availability, to a long shopping list of developers who've expressed an interest in developing these types of housing, affordable housing or recreational developments, parks and so forth. School districts also get notified, and then transit-oriented housing as well. And so there's this long shopping list, and then anybody else that we want to. But HCD requires us to comply with this notice sending out to, my recollection, for instance, I think recently Soledad went through the process, and I think they had to notify in excess of 50 entities of the availability of the property. And that period then remains open. The NOA or availability process remains open for a period of 60 days. Nothing can happen during that 60 days other than city receives proposals from entities, hopefully, or developers. And then after that period closes, you have two different paths. One is if you receive a proposal from an interested entity, you then are required to enter into a negotiation period with that entity or the entities. There may be sort of dueling entities, interest by 3 or more parties, for instance. That negotiation period has to remain open for 90 days. And that period can't commence until after the expiration of the previous 60-day NOA period. So a lot of times, like the first proposal you get in, staff's chomping at the bit and they want to say like, okay, we'll start negotiating right now. You know, you have to wait until the end of that 60-day period. And then the period remains open for 90 days. And so it's a good faith effort on the part of the city to negotiate a deal once somebody has proposed an interest in the property. And so you sort of have to keep going back to the table, and you really have to do a good job of memorializing all the efforts that you've made to reach an agreement. And primarily, it's going to be, you know, you're going to give preference to, for instance, if it's an affordable housing developer, those who are developing the most units that you need to meet your arena numbers, whether or not they're willing to pay the fair market value for the property as opposed to some lower amount and so forth and so on. So you have that path. The other path that you have is, what if you don't get any proposals? Nobody's interested in purchasing the property at all. Then again, you have to let HCDs know that you went through the proper process, you did all the notification and so forth, but that nobody was interested. Then you are free to sell your surplus property to whoever you want to, with one caveat, and it's a fairly big caveat, and that is that you have to record a deed restriction or a covenant against that property, so that if it's ever used for the development of housing, it has to include some component of affordable housing. So in some cases, that will make the property less desirable when you're selling it when it's burdened with that covenant. And the covenant has to be cleared by HCD before you record it and so forth. There's a whole process, they will model it. So that's the process. Under the very best of circumstances, you probably have a 5-month period of time before you know whether or not you've reached a deal on the sale of your surplus property. And on the other instance where you don't have anybody that's interested in purchasing the property, you're free to sell, but it could be a long time before you get anybody interested in purchasing the property that's going to have that deed restriction. It's just the legislature's decision to take another bite at the apple. So you're never going to be totally free of the affordability requirement that's imposed on the sale of surplus property. And I mean, to some extent, this is in response to cities used to cut deals, for instance, like with big retail stores who want to come in and they want to buy some property. The city was anxious to have the big retail store. The city would sell the property at a discounted rate just because they were anxious to have that. And so, you know, the city lost the true value of that property and then lost the opportunity to develop some housing. So, but in any event, that's just the thumbnail sketch of the process. It's a long process and it requires a lot of work on the part of the staff to prepare the mailings and they keep track of who or has not responded and all those sorts of things. And at the end of the day, HCD is overlooking the entire process. You should be aware of the fact that if HCD makes the determination that you have somehow skipped some part of the process or done something that doesn't necessarily follow the process correctly, they'll serve you with a notice to correct. If you don't correct and then you sell the property, they will recover 30% of the proceeds of the sale. And then the next time that happens, they'll recover 50%. So from then on, they'll recover half of whatever have an illegal sale of their surplus property.
Wow. So does that, excuse me, Maria, does that also apply then to that parcel that's up at Canyon Creek, which has no water, sewer, or electricity? So the same would apply for unimproved property?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that would be something I think that might be a hard sale for somebody who wants to develop housing, for instance, because of the fact that there are no utilities, no easy way to connect it, it's landlocked and so forth and so on. That might be a hard sell to somebody, but somebody else might be interested in doing some sort of recreational use or something along those lines.
Thank you.
So when did the state surplus act go?
You know, it's been in effect for quite a while, and then the more important revisions, the ones that we're all living with now, were enacted in 2021, I believe.
And this applies to all city-owned property.
Applies to all, and it applies to any public entity that owns property, so counties, cities, districts, and so forth.
Yeah, we're going through that right now with the Solid Waste Authority in Salinas.
So when we sold the property to Benita, that, did we have to go through the process? That was for the redevelopment.
Yeah, I think that was redevelopment.
That was before it was enacted.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah,
Sold city property. or-
yeah, we have sold city property. Right.
Well.
Go ahead, Maria.
Comments?
So if I can add, if we are gonna go through the process, staff recommends that it would be beneficial to put up multiple properties out there. Potentially the Canyon Creek one, because we don't really have a use for it, and we're with Vista Lucia potentially coming online, we'll have more park space and open areas, so we don't really see a need for that area to be developed based on everything that you're hearing, lack of water, lack of access, et cetera, et cetera. Venice Park would be another one that we would consider because of really, we don't have anything planned for it. And the Marquetti property would be the other that we would suggest putting out to the market, just because, again, it's not fulfilling necessarily the senior housing. There's interest for workforce or other potential housing on it, but it would be best to have it go through the process, and then, you know, whether it's Chief or anybody else can go through that process and offer up what they're gonna offer for the property itself.
Keep in mind with Marquetti property, though, the sale proceeds that would not go into the general fund, but they would be restricted for uses for affordable housing.
Right.
Use affordable funds.
The other two properties, I mean, the childcare facility, I mean, we couldn't put housing in those.
The medical building also has a caveat that we are still under lease till end of 27. Therefore, when we did the study, they said it would not be to our benefit to sell it with the attached lease. Otherwise, it devalues the property. So to wait. And the MAOF, I mean, that's a nice property that we do have that would probably be, I wouldn't recommend selling it anytime soon. We do have a lease on it. As Patrick mentioned, they're using it very well used, very well maintained, et cetera. So I don't see that that would be something we'd be willing to give up right now, but.
It just looks great.
Yeah. And personally, I don't think I'd ever want to sell that medical building next door, because I think we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot. Good order waiting, those developments happen. Tavin's gonna have this humongous staff that he's gotta be able to house. And it would be nice to have him right next door, right, Tavin?
He's not this.
Well,
the
No.
original plan was to remodel it and have, city hall in that building, and then it changed to the Teen Innovation Center, and then changed again, but that was the original intent back many years, so. So I just really, the market value of some of these buildings. I mean, I just got an appraisal notice on my house, and it appraised for more than one of these buildings, so I don't know if it's based on.
And that might be the
commercial
case.
or-
Well, we also did this June, I believe that study was.
Correct, yeah,
In
it
June,
was-
so.
It was
I mean,
June.
They may be a little bit higher
So.
now.
I just want to say that Canyon Creek, Park, although it's not an official park, it is used. People, they go for walks, they walk their dogs. Moms, walk their kids. It is used, so I just wish there was any way that we could keep it as part of.
Yeah, let me clarify. Yeah, the park,
Upper level, Maria.
It's
one
the
that's
field.
Top of the bank.
The
Up
one
on
that's
top.
being farmed
Yeah.
right now.
Farm.
yeah. No, yeah, the phase two, yeah, that was the plan. So it's the upper, yeah, no, and actually, I think we should mention that we are gonna be giving that park a facelift, actually. So it's not the park itself, the footprint is gonna stay. It's the upper level that's currently being farmed. So it's been farmed for forever since the development went in. So for us, it's not usable for us because there's no access to it and there's no water to it.
So I had a couple of questions for Patrick. So the Cipriani lots, are they less than 5,000 square feet? Because there's pretty small lots.
They're small lots, I believe they're slightly over 5,000 square feet.
That's a three, but you said
Yes,
if
that's
we
a-
split it into four,
Right, well, one of the concepts, or the concept around reconfiguring it to four is that we would, we have those three lots, I mean, the park, and there's a 20-foot, actually, it's public right of way. When I looked at the map, I was surprised it wasn't a PUE, and it's 20 feet wide, and we would take half of that or so and add it onto these three existing parcels to reconfigure them to get four.
so potentially they'd be under that threshold of 5,000 square feet, potentially.
But I'm gonna assume that it's the totality.
Okay,
Right.
so that, we can't set it as individual lots, okay. The other lot that I'm curious why it wasn't appraised is the lot on C Street. The one we had talked about potentially putting a basketball court on right across the slough
Right.
from that. Why wasn't that appraised? That's almost what, 3 acres out there?
I don't know that I've ever seen the size.
No, it's pretty wide.
odd, it's odd shaped. It's as if a bit of a triangle.
Yes. That's over 200 feet across the front. Cause I measured
Yeah.
it when I had sight.
So, and there's great access with the alleys and so,
I mean, for an apartment complex, that would be much more viable than anything else that we got in town. Right.
And we can add it, just because they weren't appraised doesn't mean that we say no. I mean, at that time when we were appraising it, there was other plans for it, so we didn't throw it in here, but we could definitely throw it
I mean-
in and have it be part of the whole surplus land act process.
I mean, if we're doing this because we're potentially hurting for money, then everything's on the table. Yeah. 'Cause I could easily see some worker housing in there or teacher housing. You know, it'd be nice to get together with the school district and say, hey, can we collaborate? That's what Soledad did. Potentially, why not? Why not? So I agree with the three parcels, which would be the Cipriani, the Canyon Creek, that's second park, and then the Moncada lots. This one and the childcare center, no. No, I don't even want to put those on the table. Unless you guys think otherwise, then I'm one vote.
so Mayor Rios, just so I understand, we're adding the C Street?
We should look at that.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't need it, it doesn't need to be appraised. We can
I
just
mean,
include it.
all you're doing is mowing weeds every year.
Yes,
Let's let somebody else do it.
yes. It'd be very simple to include that in this effort.
And water, sewer, everything is there, power,
Yes, correct. Great.
okay? All righty, we just a little direction. Okay, and we think we've given you that. All right, youth council, I think it's Richard Orlando. All right,
Yeah, so
fall asleep over there, have you?
yeah, so I'll start it off. So for our oral communications, we're gonna be dividing this into two sections. So
Okay,
my first part is updates, and Richard will be talking about any future GYC related dates. So I'll start off with our updates. So as of now, the Gonzales Youth Council have discussed and decided on our first community project, which will be the beautification of Gonzales. So the beautification of Gonzales will consist of three primary goals for this project. First, we will be establishing and modifying the food pantries in both Central Park and St. Theodore Church. Next, we'll be collaborating with Interact Club in Gonzales High School or any other organizations that are willing to work with us with trash pickups and other potential objectives relating to cleanliness. And finally, collaborating with the Public Works Department to provide feedback on other additional improvements or changes needed to be made surrounding the city. This project is only the beginning of our GYC term, and we absolutely look forward to seeing the overall impact from this project and future project ideas that may be derived from our youth council. So now, I know. Thank you. I'll pass it on to my other youth commissioner.
Thank you very much, Orlando. So for our future GYC related dates, our first one will be on October 7th, which is tomorrow. We will be having our Greenfield Youth Council meet and greet to discuss and interact with any possible new projects that the Greenfield Youth Council will like for us to participate in. And as for our second date on October 9th, we will be having our second GYC meeting, where our members will be further diving into our community beautification project, jotting ideas, resources, and courses of action onto a document for organizations. And for our final update, which is on October 16th, the Gonzales Youth Council, we will be meeting with the state senator, John Laird, I believe.
Laird.
Who represents District 17, which is around the Monterey County, including the Santa Cruz County as well. Discussing with the community center and also other community projects related to the Gonzales Youth Council. With that said, this is all to report from the Gonzales Youth Council with current actions and planned events and dates. Thank you.
Thank you. Great report. Thank you so much. Looking forward to that first one. All righty, committee reports, Tamsi. Ms. Smith.
Hi.
Thank you for attending.
I attended, no problem. I attended the TAMSI meeting last Wednesday. And just a few things that were brought up. The first one is that Highway 1 will be fully open in late March of 2026. So that's really good news. Big Sur, the whole 9 yards, everything will be open, which I know everybody's been waiting for a long time. There was a presentation that was made from Caltrans relating to the gas tax that we all know about. The gas tax is not sustainable. So they've been doing studies relating to vehicle miles traveled. There's a lot of discussion about equity. They seem to say that people in South County and the Watsonville area, that we tend to drive vehicles that use a lot more gas and that we drive a lot more, which I thought was interesting. That's one of the things they're considering is how much you drive and taxing you based on that. I know the whole thing, I sat there in stunned thinking to myself, how can you tell me how, anyway. There was many questions that were discussed about equity and takeaway. My takeaway was rural versus urban. That's what what they were looking at, large trucks versus electric vehicles, because it's not fair at this point. Who's paying more? So they're talking about, TAMSI decided that perhaps what they need to do is have a committee formed that could discuss this, because this is not only in Monterey County, this is the entire state of California. They're just not able to pay for the kinds of things that we want to do in California at this point, based on this gas tax. So how would it work? Who would be monitoring it? Would DMV be the one, collecting the information? I mean, there's a lot of, it's going to take a lot to get this thing going. And the one thing that they said, which I thought was interesting, it's all not going to happen right away. So I don't want everybody to panic at this point. It's something that's ongoing. They're collecting data. They're going to continue to collect data on that. So that was one of the things. The other one that I was mostly interested in was Highway 101. So they now have someone that will be what is it, design versus build? That's what, the design build. The gentleman that was representing the company spent the entire time explaining design build. Now, all of us that were in that room already know how that works. It was kind of a waste of time. I really did think it was a waste of time. And they're still talking, Jose, 7 years before anything's even going to get accomplished. So,
well, one of the things they've been talking about is closing the left-hand turns.
Yeah.
By the end of next year, so.
Yeah, they didn't discuss that while I was there. So also the other thing that was discussed was the Safe Schools. And they had been dealing with Castroville, North County. And they're pretty much have gotten it resolved to what they're going to do. And they seem to be very excited about the project that they're doing for them. Anna Velasquez had said that she felt that Soledad had not really gotten any information related to that, which I thought was kind of interesting because we've all been talking about it for quite some time and we've given our opinions. So that was one of the areas that she felt that Soledad had not been put up on that. So that's pretty much it. Safe schools, the 101, the vehicle miles traveled, and then just as an aside, there were 2 public comments that were made at the beginning of the meeting relating to the additional funds that we received. There were a couple of people that just didn't think it was fair that Gonzales and Greenfield had gotten these funds and Salinas did not. So that was pretty much, I thought that was kind of funny.
The committee that you referenced, is that a committee with Tansy?
Yes, yes. So that's all, sir.
Thank you very much. I
You're welcome.
appreciate you covering for me.
No problem.
The Mayor Select Committee, the meeting was canceled, so we're supposed to meet Friday, canceled. So moving on, Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority.
My turn. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, October 16th, here in the chambers at 6 p.m. And we are in the process of recruiting a new general manager since Patrick will be retiring this December. And also of note, I did have Mary put a copy of our meeting highlights from our last meeting in September. So I think each of you has a copy of that. And the next thing, we will be preparing the landfill for Module 8. Our landfill is designed to have, I think, up to 10 modules. And just a few years ago, they dug out Module 7. So if you want to see a big hole in the ground, it will be coming to you soon. It will be a little bigger than Module 7, I guess, because of where it is on the property. Module 7 is narrow and a little longer, but this one will be wider and just as long. So stay tuned because you can all see the big hole in the ground pretty soon. That's it.
Thank you. Measure K.
Yeah, well, we have a meeting coming up October 28th, and then I just wanted to say that we will be giving out the community grant program again after we receive those funds from Tennessee. The council up here said, hey, let's consider continuing with that, so we'll go ahead and put that out. So we'll be meeting on the 28th, but the application period will be opened the next week or so.
Great, great. Okay. Oral communications, we started last time with Ms. Orozco, and now we're going to start with Ms. Worthy on this side.
Couple things. The first one is I attended the listening session with Supervisor Lopez last week. And it was really informative. And I would have to say that the majority of discussion was relating to our youth. And Maria kind of addressed it with Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital. Mental health is a big issue in our community, and especially with our kids. I was shocked to hear from a couple of people, one being Araceli, Maria's daughter, relating to the fact that there are many kids in our community that are getting into a lot of trouble. And it's kind of scary, and it's something that I was not aware of. And the mental health issue is something that we all have to look at. And I know that our youth commissioners have been talking about this for years. I do attribute a lot of it to COVID. I think that's when it all kind of really started. But we need to listen to our kids. And I think the other thing is, we can't depend on the schools, and we can't depend, I mean, we can depend on mentors and different people, but it really starts at home. You know, a lot of the families, I know they work so hard, they get up very early in the morning and sometimes don't get home until late. And then they depend on the siblings to take care of the kids, and that's that's very difficult. Housing is an issue, as we all know. We talked about that. Chris is such a good sounding board. I mean, he is currently working with Greenfield at this point because Greenfield really has a problem with their youth. And which Araceli substantiated when she spoke about it as well. But we need to try to figure out a way, I was thinking about these MST buses, that we have. Can we do something with these buses to bus some of the kids to some of these mental health classes or something? I don't know. I mean, maybe we really do need to sit down and have a real solid conversation about this, because our community has always been very safe and it's scary. And I don't know, the chief might be able to, talk about that a little bit, but my eyes were open that night. I was shocked to hear some of the things that I heard. The other thing I wanted to say is, so I'd like to thank Chris for having these listening sessions. I think they're super important. We had probably a dozen people there, maybe from the community, maybe 6 or 7. I'd encourage our community members to come to these listening sessions. If you need to find out information, Chris is a great resource and he has great staff people. The other thing I want to bring to everyone's attention is November 4th, we have a special election. It's very important. We need people to vote. I know that City Hall has a place for you to drop your ballots off if you don't feel comfortable, putting it in the mail. My sons both filled theirs out today and said, "Mom, I don't want you to mail it. I want you to take it in." So it's really important. It's a huge thing. It's only one item. Please do your research to figure out why this is happening and vote. That's all I have, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
So,
I just want to let everybody know that starting tomorrow, we'll begin the National 4-H Week. 4-H is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. Our cooperative extension at the Ag Commissioner's office, I was able to donate something that came my way, and so she's going to use it. There will be some sort of event coming up, and so they're going to use what I had in their presentation. So if you get approached by a 4-H student this week and they hand you a green clover, it's because that's what they have been instructed to do, is to make everybody aware of their participation in 4-H. Our next Adventure Seeking Seniors Luncheon will be on Thursday, October 16th, starting at 11 a.m. at St. Theodore's Parish Hall. It will be I guess a Halloween theme, because I donated a bunch of black and orange decorations from the class reunion. I'm glad they can use them. I was also going to remind everybody, even if there is one thing on the ballot, please, if you're registered to vote, do your research and cast your ballot. There's a receptacle in front of City Hall that can be dropped in at any time, 24 hours a day until that day. And then the last thing is, I'm sure that all of us are aware, I think we kind of talked about it before the meeting started, and that is the awful stench in the air I don't smell it too often in my side of town, but I'm starting to get it. I smell it more on the north end of town. And it is a little bothersome. Yeah, you gotta, even on those hot days, hot humid days that we had about a week ago, you want to keep your windows open to get some circulation. And it was, you had to kind of decide whether to either have the cool air coming in the evening or the stench. So I hope that is being addressed by the proper people at the Air Quality Control Agency, because it's upsetting. That's all I have.
Ms. Orozco.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the community for coming out and supporting St. Theodore's Festival last Sunday. It was a great event, really good food, and just a good community gathering of folks, and great music and ballet folklorico dancers. And I also want to mention that Rotary is continuing to do a project at Central Park with the benches and the tables and we finished the small barbecue pits and folks really enjoy being able to actually barbecue without things falling underneath now those pits. So we're continuing with that project. And we had some great help from the high school. Keith, the principal, brought over 7 students who helped. Liz, thank you for stopping by and sharing your comments with the students. And they helped paint and just, did a great job. We're going to be going back to finish because we weren't able to finish, but Rob Gallardi fixed the benches that were crooked and kind of wobbly. So we'll continue with that effort, but it's a great project that we've been working on. So I want to thank folks for the support. That's all I have. Thank you. I'm sorry, before I forget.
Go ahead.
And I don't know, and correct me, Michael, if I'm out of line, but I'm just really concerned about the comments from the public who said that their public comments were not recorded or made part of the minutes. And in looking at the minutes, I don't know if he submitted 2 written comments or if it was 1, but they are in the minutes. So I would just like clarification. When folks make public comments online, are they allowed to make more than 1 or 2? As opposed to when they come in person, they're only allowed to make and come up to the podium and make 1 public comment. So just clarification on that, because I did look at the minutes and those comments, were in there. And I'm feeling a little concerned about being approached by a private investigator on issues that are coming up. And so I don't know if we can, maybe get a report either in a closed session or just an email on how, I know that we've been told many, many times when there's an issue, to refer to our city attorney or to our chief of police, but this is just a little different. So I'm not sure if that's something that we can do in a closed session or if we could just have some written instructions from our city attorney, but I'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Michael, would you like to respond to that? Because I was under the impression that on a written email, it's limited to 250 words.
Right.
And I thought it was 1 correspondence per meeting. Maybe I'm wrong.
It could be multiple comments on various items, so it's not limited to just a single item, so somebody.
But public comment items.
Okay. And, just a reminder that this point, the city has carried over from its COVID era, right? And so where we allowed people to make comments by way of email and we allowed people to make comments by way of Zoom and so forth and so on, that's not actually required at this point in time by the Brown Act, right? And so, we've had different, I won't say different rules and regulations. I mean, basically, in most cases, we've read the comment into the record. Sometimes if we don't have enough time, we'll just indicate that we've received comments and so forth. In the case with this particular individual, he wanted his full comment made part of the record, which is fine. And that's what I've asked the city clerk to do, to add that to the minutes. And since it was referenced in the minutes, there's no need to amend the minutes or anything along those lines. But usually we'll either read the comment directly into the record or we will reference the fact that we received a comment from so-and-so on this issue, and then we made a part of the record and then appended to the minutes.
We all read that.
Right. Yeah, it was distributed to all the councilmen.
My closing comments is, first of all, I'd like to thank the Youth Council. I think what you are planning is going to be great because believe it or not, this weekend I got some comments about the amount of trash along Alta Street and along 5th Street because they commented that those are kind of the 2 entrance areas into our community, at least for the old side of town. So if you're going to look at that, I know one of the areas they commented strongly about was in front of the one little hotel that we have between the sidewalk and Planet Strip. I guess those bushes have overgrown and they're now into over the curb and onto the street. And I don't know if that's something that city staff can cut so it's off of the street, or is that something that the homeowner should be doing, or the property owner? Lamplighter. At the lamplighter? Yeah, so if you look at the growth that they have in between curb and gutter, that growth is overgrown the gutter area and coming into the street. So there's a lot of trash that's catching there. I don't understand what that is. I think it's interesting that they stay in business, but I never see anyone staying there. So, hey, as long as they're paying their taxes, right? What else can we ask? So I think that's a great project and I encourage you highly, if you need trash bags, you need, reflective vests, let me know. I'll pay for them. Okay? But thank you so much for your commitment to the community. If there's nothing else, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. What?
City manager.
Sorry, Carmen, just thinking of dinner, okay?
Yeah.
Be honest with you.
Fast. I just have 3 items. So circuit training for seniors starts Tuesday at 10:00, 10:30 at Central Park. One of our interns from CSUMB is putting together a circuit training, so that should be fun. I wish I can join you guys. And then October 25th is our trunk or treat. This time it will be at Centennial Park starting at 3:00. And then right after that, we'll go into the movie out there as well. So it's kind of combined into one location, one date, to be more cost efficient. We are asking the public if they have the availability to donate candy for that event. That would be great. So we are taking candy donations. And then the veteran sign registration is open and the last day to register for that is October 10th. So if anybody's interested, they should sign up as soon as possible. Yeah.
Through the chair, I do have one comment.
Please.
We usually don't make comments on public comment, but we did receive a comment today that there was something pending for the chief of police to act upon with respect to a citizen's arrest. And I just wanted to let the council know that that is not the case and that that issue was addressed. I can't remember when, but back, I believe, in 2024 by way of written notice and so forth. So there's no pending action for the chief to be taking on a so-called citizen's arrest.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate that.
I just wanted the mayor to know that Harmon did bring up at the listening session about the air call.
Yeah, so just for the public, I should know, and I did share, I believe, with the mayor, but I did talk to Supervisor Lopez about it at the listening session, and his statements were that he has been working with the owner to see if they could relocate somewhere in Fat City, and that they are conducting some wind studies to see if that would be a feasible location for them. That's kind of where the status is at, but I would encourage folks to continue calling the Air Quality Board if they're still bothered by it. And I understand there might be a petition going around as well.
I'll be reaching out to Supervisor Lopez. I had the opportunity to meet with both Carlos and George Amaral of Amaral Ranches. They own about 110 acres up at Fat City. And when I mentioned that stink, he's like, I got enough property up there. I'll take lemon orchards out. I'll do whatever I need to do to provide him a spot. So he's willing to offer a spot. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Kennison Brown.
September 22nd, the State Housing Community Development acknowledged that our 6-cycle housing element has been approved. It's done, finished business, and it's out of the way of any of the grants. We're off that list and on a good one. And also just a heads up, if you haven't known already, we've got 2 new businesses in town. We have the Amor de Cafe that we're going to have a ribbon cutting come together here on Friday, October 24th, the celebration for the new coffee place.
I tried it, it's good.
I couldn't shut my eyes after I had my coffee. And then the space that we've rented in place of the county over here, just in our own building, 411 Center Street. Woman with many talents, Susanna, I can't pronounce her last name, Giardo, but she provides a lot of services, and we'll, after the Mordig Cafe, we'll follow up in about a week or 2 with another grand opening and little splash for that new business.
Great. Thank you, Tyler.
And if Mr. Dobbins can share some of the timeline for the slurry seal and the work on 4th Street.
Salute. Yeah, this, our slurry seal contract work has begun. They were out here on Fourth Street and, basically the first activity is removing the striping. And then they're gonna come back, and then crack fill. And that's the final preparation, and then they will slurry seal. And the slurry seal is actually October 16th and 17th. And so that's getting underway. We're doing this block, both ends of the cul-de-sac ends of Catherine, and then the half of Canyon Creek subdivision that was not done 3 years ago.
Great.
Yes.
Right.
One more
Yeah, go ahead.
one more comment, Mayor Rios, which is, so the public works supervisor position, Tiffany Twisselman's moving on, October 16th is her last day. And when we went through a recruitment and we brought on Martin Diaz of the school district, he started last Monday. So we're getting almost 3 weeks of overlap with Tiffany and Martin.
Great.
That's all I've got, Mayor
Thank
Rios.
you. Anything else? Okay, then okay, so then I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. Not even gonna wait for an A.